Ouch.
Yeah, don't hit yourself.
It's much sensitive like
the wire.
Yeah.
You hit yourself and now you're looking indignant. Like, how dare I hurt myself?
Why would you do that? I looked at myself in the computer screen like, excuse me.
You were wildly flailing a cord around.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. Shannon has just injured herself with her own laptop power cord. Jake is in a zany mood, so it's going to be a wild one.
Feeling great, gang.
Hey, I heard you were a wild
they're
one.
fucking singing. They're just singing.
I don't know that song, so I recognize it, but I don't know the lyrics, so I can't get behind her.
I did something kind of weird recently.
What was that?
I was a seventh wheel. Three couples and me went to ye old Big Bear.
Oh, mountain trip.
I actually did not snowboard.
You didn't snowboard.
I skied.
Oh.
I got a pair of skis.
Wow.
Pretty excited. Real beaters.
How long are your skis?
160.
Oh, I don't know.
I like how
means.
you're like,
I have no fucking clue.
Shannon's been making fun of me. She's like, another snow thing. And then she's like, what are the specs of your equipment? That's a weird turn. But it was a weird dynamic. I actually, I had a great time, but like there were just times when it was like, so it was actually great because I got to see all these couples, you know, and some of them were new and some of them were not. And like we go on the mountain and my friend Sarah, she hurt herself. She hurt herself right away and it sucked.
Oh my God.
And then this other guy, Tori, good friend of mine's boyfriend, he like sucked. It was his first time.
Oh my God, what a loser.
And so there was, Shannon, don't say that. And there was just this thing of like, you know, this awkward thing of like, oh, do we stay with them? What do we do? Where do we go? And I was like, fuck this. And just,
I'm out.
and it made me realize though, like I just am not in an emotional place to give a fuck about anybody. And that was kind of cool. I was like, I'm not jealous. I was at 0 points during this trip was I like, I wish I was in a couple. The only reason I want to be in a couple was because it was just kind of awkward that I wasn't in a couple and I was just a single guy.
So even just having like another spare person in the group would have just been like, okay, cool, we can talk.
Work together. Like it was splitting checks. It became very obvious. Like couple. And I was like, and me. I'll be my own guy.
Yeah, what would you guys do, Venmo? Or do you split?
Oh no, they split 4 ways everywhere. Yeah.
That's not fair. You pay double?
No, they just split the check 4 different ways.
Not evenly, not
For
25,
each-
25, 25.
For each group.
So they just treated they treated each person like their own ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, so they split it 7 ways. There's 7 of you.
I don't want to break this down farther. Just nothing unfair happened. You're not on the trail, Sherlock. But thanks for your attempt. But it was a fun
This
trip.
is gonna be a wild one.
So I just came across this in my closet, and I need to explain this to you guys, this thing that happened to me last year. So I get a package in the mail, and it is addressed to, my last name is Lewis, my middle name is D. It said Shannon D with a bunch of E's, D.
Oh, that's cute.
Lewis.
That's fun.
And it was just from, it wasn't Amazon, but it was like a random place that, like, you know, it wasn't a return dress that said like Jake Davis. It wasn't someone's name. And so I get to open it up, and it's a t-shirt that is the color of poop brown, and it says on it, I heart to fart.
Oh no.
Now, many people in my life know that, you know, farting's kind of a thing in my family. We fart a lot, basically, just to throw it out there.
It never stops. It's always, every time we think we have the Lewis gland contained, we have them in a box. New element.
Well, because like, yeah, families fart. It's part of life.
I just think both sides of my family are quite gassy.
But like, is there a way? Can you put this like, what happens
with what?
Well,
when
people
we
fart.
Is it
we
like
just like openly
comfortable.
do it, and we just have a lot of gas. Like I think our genetics just like we just have a lot of gas on both sides too. So I come by it honestly, okay? So most of my friends know, like, if I'm like good friends with you, I'm just gonna like let it go. So
well, I don't want to be good friends then. There's no situation where farting, that's an apology and a put the window down if we're in the vehicle. And don't fart in the Camry.
I would never.
Thank
Not
you.
the Camry.
Thank you.
That's the first in class.
Okay, so you
Hey, Danny.
fart.
Danny.
Okay, but listen up.
She's already farted in the Camry.
No, she hasn't. So
Okay, and then the other thing too is that like I also think farting is like so funny. Like I think that like anytime there's a fart joke in anything or like a video out there or like even if anyone farts, like I die laughing. I think it's the funniest thing. Like I don't think there's anything funnier than a fart.
Timing a well-timed one in certain environments, incredible. Like if it punctuates the right
yeah, but
thing.
you're adding nuance that's not there.
I
Jake.
know.
No, it totally does. It's like a good little button at the end of a
likes
joke.
farts.
So I was at an AMC when like Nicole Kidman like just finished talking and somebody just like just ripped a lawnmower open in front of like it was right
That's
as
good. All right, I'll give that credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. Okay, so go on.
So I made a web series like a few years ago, and I was always trying to write a fart joke into it. And then our friend Ken, who made it with me, was like always like, you need to write this out. Like, we're not doing this fart joke, blah, 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 blah. And then I finally, because he was in it too, and I just edited in a fart at one moment when he was doing something. So I got the fart joke in. But anyway, so I'm like reaching out to everyone. I'm like, who gave me this I love to fart joke? Of course, I reached out to Ken because I thought
that's
like,
my money is there.
and he said no. And then I reached out
sister?
to like all my close friends and family, like all my best friends, and everyone said no. And so then I posted on my story, and I was like my close friend story, and I was like, okay, like LOL, who was this?
Yeah.
Nobody has fessed up to it.
Not your sister.
Nobody. A month later or something, I put it on my regular story, like, okay, guys, like I still haven't figured out who sent this to
I
me.
think I saw this.
Never.
Yeah.
I have to this day no idea.
This
who
is
sent
like
that
the
to me.
beginning
It
of
was
the next
Ken.
Conjuring movie.
No, he said it wasn't.
No, he's fucking lying.
Ken wouldn't lie.
No.
Ken
I don't
wouldn't
know
lie
why he
about
would
this.
lie.
Ken, I know it was Ken because Ken did something similar and we talked about it at the party where you gaslit me that one time.
What did he do?
I don't know, but I remember this adds up to me.
But why would he? The joke would just be that like I never know.
Probably.
So is that the joke? You don't want to claim your little funny joke?
I see everything that I know about the Lewis clan just tells me that this
Sister.
is my guess is your sister and she's fucking with you, but it could be, for all I know, it could be your great uncle Thaddeus, who's like,
Yeah.
you know, Lord Minster of a Munster cheese factory in Liechtenstein.
Well, but he's known for his side business, chariots pulled by bears. You know, it's always some
Also his novelty
insane-
t-shirt
Oh my
factory.
god! Wait, I have to tell you guys about my uncle Jimmy at some point.
No fucking way.
My great uncle Jimmy, he and
Really great uncle. I said great uncle to be is like, it's actually your great uncle.
Yeah, I have a
Jesus.
great uncle Jimmy.
Christ.
And my grandma inherited the parking lot and the guest house, and he inherited the Wildwood Lumber Company. And he turned
Wow.
the Wildwood Lumber Company into a biblical wax museum.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Can we go?
It's done now. And he ran the
I'm
lumber
okay.
It
company.
melted.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
global warming took that puppy right out.
And he ran the lumber company into the ground.
Oh, wow.
So he-
Back
he
to
doesn't
where
know
it
shit
came
now.
from, to be fair.
Yeah, oh, true.
There we go. A little poetry from Uncle Jimmy.
So anyway, guys, that's just a little insight into my life.
I just hear carnival music
Farting
playing. which-
thing was like the least interesting part of that. I'm way more. Now we've added so much more to the portfolio of Shannon family properties.
Yeah, the biblical wax.
I just like the
museum is
grandma too.
something
I
else.
got the parking lot. What'd you get? Well, the wood factory.
Which,
Yeah,
which is
ruined.
that's like the most immediate moneymaker to me. Like you did a lot with the parking lot, but like you got a fucking lumber factory. How did you
Yeah,
fuck that
yeah,
up?
right.
Trees come in, paper goes out.
Well, yeah, he stopped doing it, and he just made it a museum in the
I
lobby.
mean, chase your
In the
dreams.
lobby?
I
Yeah.
guess. Just in the lobby.
Uncle Jimmy gives
Something
zero
like that.
fucks.
Yeah, there's your problem. You're
yeah.
half-assing it.
I'll show you a business. We're starting a museum in the lobby. How will the workers get in? They'll pay to go to the museum.
That's where the comeback is.
Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We got a little update here. Hi, I just listened to episode 431. My submission was read. Woohoo! AITA for protecting myself after being threatened by a coworker, which I believe was an incident where someone was basically flashed a knife or some dangerous thing.
Oh, is this the Periwinkle
They had a
one?
knife. Yeah, Periwinkle. This incident happened in December of 2022. I was terminated a week after. I worked in a cannabis kitchen. Oh, I don't remember that detail.
Oh,
that was
wow.
left
I don't
out.
think they said that.
Cooking edibles, so the HR rep is part of a real HR department. I still do not know why I was getting this silent treatment, but this incident was a blessing in disguise. I now work for a different cannabis company and built some great friendships with my new team.
All right.
I was also just informed that the kitchen I'd been working in is now being shut down because they've been unable to hire anyone since I was let go. Thanks for covering my story. It was great to receive some additional perspective. Love the show.
Amazing.
Glad it all worked out, but it sounds
Yeah.
like Periwinkle just couldn't be stopped.
Yeah,
His
really.
terror
It's
knows
my
no
kitchen.
bounds.
Got a couple kind of submishes here, sub-minis we like to call them. Kind of had to shorten them up. We've covered this before. AITA for wanting the same financial support as my sister. So OP's parents are retiring. They're cutting off OP and her older sister's cell phone. OP can't afford it. She thinks it's extremely unfair that older sister got to benefit from a free phone while through college and until she was financially stable, and that OP should receive the same treatment. And mom simply said, well, you'll figure it out, sweetie. OP started rage texting sister. Sister said, well, life isn't fair and I need to grow up and stop trying to guilt trip our parents. I vented about the situation to friends and I've received mixed reactions. AITA for wanting the same financial support as my sister.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not think that this is fair. She's in college.
Yeah, I think that it's a reasonable ask. I think covering through college is a reasonable ask. I think saying till you're financially stable, that's it depends on how your family looks at stuff. I think that ultimately fighting on this it's not gonna matter unless there's no argument that's gonna change their mind. They already made a choice on this, so it's really about how you handle it. And I'm with you. It's not fair for sure, but also like it's one of those things where parents are gonna be goofs and do stuff that doesn't seem super fair at times.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
This is going to be as big of a problem as you make it. And I understand you being upset for sure, but like rage texting your sister, like she didn't make this decision.
Yeah, it wasn't her choice. And also, oh God.
I'm going nuclear on this. This was a splitting point with Sarah and I. A rare situation where you might find me to be a bit histrionic, but I would classify this as abusive. I think treating your children unfairly is not, I think it's emotionally hurtful. It's not about the phone. It's about the unfair treatment. That is fucked up. That is favoritism, and that is really fucked up. So I feel for you, OP, and I think what your parents are doing is very wrong. I think parents need to have the foresight to give their kids as equal of a upbringing as they can. I think this falls well under the umbrella of something they are able to do. And it was very similar actually, because I believe the parents were going on an RV trip or some bullshit like that. They were retiring, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, you can't just decide to retire and decide to fuck over one of your kids. That's not okay.
That was not
You
cool.
signed up. You signed up to
Yeah,
give
I
all
don't
your
think that
kids an equal upbringing. I think that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I think keeping the phone through college is a perfectly reasonable and decent thing for them to do.
I think so.
Past that point, look, I had, my mom always cared for me very deeply, always made sure, I had whatever I needed. So I have a really great relationship with her. But I'm never going to blame a parent where once a kid gets up past 22, if they take the rails off a little bit, that seems fair to me. Because when is somebody really an adult? It's really going to be a case-by-case basis. You don't want to be supporting your kid forever.
Sure.
But I think through college, that's an expense that's really not that big of an ask on the parents to help the kid out with, and it makes a huge difference for the kid.
Yeah.
I'm more about the fairness. For me, this is what that comes down to. I don't think parents have any duty. My parents pay for my smartphone, just being transparent about it. Thanks, Mom. But I don't think that's a duty. I don't think parents have a duty to pay for their children's college. I think that's a tall bar. But I think if you're going to do it for one kid, you need to realize you're signing on to do it for all of them. It's fucked up. That's fucked up.
That's why I'm saying I think the compromise for me that would be like, what are you going to do? But that's fair is just take care of it through college, because you're right. It's about fairness.
Just wait a couple. It's just 2 more years. Like, just keep her on your plan.
Yeah.
And actually, like, my parents and had an agreement with my sister and I that they would keep us on their cell phone plan until like we have a family. If we put them on our cell phone plan like later in life.
Oh.
And so, but I also think that they were like expecting us to be settled down and have a family a little earlier than either one of us have been at all. But like maybe like a year and a half ago or something, I guess my parents decided that I was to be kicked off the plan, but my sister wasn't. My sister and I would always make jokes, like sending each other memes of like a surfer being like me just riding it out on my parents' like cell phone plan as long as I can. So like when they told me that, I like texted my sister and I was like, it's too late for me, but save yourself. Like,
yeah.
I just think you, at least like my sister and I, like we're like always on the same team. Like, I just can't imagine like being mad at my sister about this.
Maybe she meant that she was complaining about it, venting about it, which I still think is like, you're barking up the wrong tree. She's not going to be able to help you with this.
I think this is a miss on sister's behalf. I'll ding her as well. I think sister is being obtuse. She's refusing. Oh, life isn't fair. No.
Yeah, that's
life isn't
like
fair.
Her response. But our parents are being unfair. That is their choice.
Good ding for sure.
So she's kind of being, and isn't it convenient for her now to be sanctimonious about this? It's like, well, yeah, it's nice. How about you pay me back then, so that I don't have to pay more than what you did? Why don't we really be fair about it, huh, sis? Mm-hmm.
Well,
no, I'm not saying she actually should do that. I'm just saying the sister, I'm also digging her. I think
if she's complaining to the sister about it, like why are you doing this? That's where
the sister should have been like, I hear you. It is unfair.
Yeah, for sure.
They're wrong. You deserve to have a comparable.
I'm with you.
And I understand. Situations can change. You know, maybe you win the lottery and you bought the kids a Lambo. That was stupid, but I can understand that. But that doesn't feel like the situation. That this feels very much like we want to do what we want to do. Well, guess what? You have children still. AITA for wanting the same financial support as my sister. I actually think we're aligned here.
Yeah.
NTA and the Banter.
Yeah.
All right, a little quick submission here. AITA for going my landlord about property my roommate damaged. Long story short, OP's roommate throws parties. OP found a huge hole in the carpet and reported it to the landlord. Turns out it was a hookah coal from the party, and OP had not been informed, and now OP is mad, and that's why she went to the landlord. OP, this is a no-brainer. Fuck your roommate. You reported something fucked up in the apartment because you didn't know the origin of it. That was definitely on your roommate to disclose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could have said something to the roommate first, though, before going to the landlord.
I think there might the detail here. If these are repeated big rager parties and the place is always a mess, and then it's like, and it depends on your relationship. You know, we just covered something about the stripper pole. I don't think that this is really quite the same situation at all, because we're talking about wanton, reckless damage to the apartment, not intentional installation that needs to be considered and agreed upon. Just like one way, I'm having parties and the place is getting fucked up.
And normally I would say go to the roommate, but I'm like, you're doing this big ridiculous thing. Now you want me to go to you and check in and see what kind of damage? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of times when things are messed up, like you do just report it to your landlord.
Right. And this was on the roommate to deal with. She damaged the property and then tried to conceal it. So it's like, fuck you. AITA for going to my landlord about property my roommate damage. No brainer. NTA, and your roommate is. All right, guys, we're going to get into this thing. Our second story of the day, AITA for telling my husband what I think he should do with a car he inherited from a family member who passed. But first, rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. The call-in show is up and running. My social life, once again, decimated. Very excited to speak with the dear listeners. Got a vibrant Discord. That thing is popping off. Love to see you guys in it.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and watch us on YouTube.
$5 a month. Weekly bonus episodes from Shannon and Jake. That's how much the Patreon costs.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Here's
I guess I interrupted.
Shannon.
Well, we're doing another listener submission here. AITA for minding my business. Molly and Peter had been dating for 5 years, but recently broke up. 3 days after the breakup, Molly started hooking up with one of Peter's best friends, Dylan. Molly didn't cheat, but it was not very nice. Molly told me she loves being single and the lack of commitment, yet spends 4 nights a week at Dylan's apartment. Not my business, but relevant. Molly is under the impression that Dylan and she are only seeing each other. But what Molly doesn't know is Dylan is sleeping with other girls! ! Dylan is hooking up with another friend in the group, Rachel. Now, Rachel is one of my best friends, and as is Molly, even though they themselves are not best friends. Rachel doesn't see a problem hooking up with Dylan because he's technically single. He's not committed to anyone, so why can't he sleep around? I talked about this situation with my sister, and she said I'm the asshole for not telling Molly that Dylan is sleeping around and I'm letting down a friend. My sister made really good points about how I'd want to know if a guy I was sleeping with was also sleeping with, quote unquote, my friends. I'm stuck because Molly and Rachel are both really good friends of mine. I'm not sure who I owe the most loyalty to or even how I would get involved. I don't really want to get involved either. AITA for minding my business and staying out of their business until it all comes out on its own.
I like this. This is kind of a more subtle question than I would expect. I mean, it's a little bit shocking to me. I guess let me say this. Let's go the other way with it. If she did report the fact that Dylan is sleeping with, who is the other one? Rachel. I think that's clean. You're allowed to blow up a guy's spot or a girl's spot, and say, hey, just so you know, Dylan and Rachel told me that they're sleeping together.
Yeah. No, I think that there's nothing wrong with reporting, but I'll do you one better on this.
Ooh.
No one in this situation has any right to be upset about anything.
Yeah, because nobody is exclusive. No one's exclusive.
This is
big pushback from that, but go on.
So here's where I'm coming from. Molly here has bailed on the relationship immediately, already had the saddle out of the barn for Dylan.
And
said
hooking
that's
up
where
with her ex's best friend.
Right. It's and I'm leaving that to the side.
Wait, hold on. Break that down for me. What's ex's best friend?
Molly and Peter broke up after 5 years of dating, and then she starts hooking up with Peter's best friend, Dylan.
Oh
yeah, man!
I missed
no,
that.
she
Molly
immediately
herself is not a particularly scrupulous individual,
she's claiming to be single, but spending 4 nights a week at this dude's place. This is a small, short little anecdote. But one time I was dating somebody early 20s, freshly in LA, and I was not looking for anything serious. She was, and when I had that conversation with her of hey, I'm just not going to be there right now, and I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff I'm trying to get right now. She said, I totally hear you. I completely understand. I'm fine with where we're at. Then she changed her status on all of her social media to being in a relationship and said, I just wanted you to know where I was at. This is the same thing as that.
Shut up.
This is forcing a relationship that's not real on somebody where you keep broadcasting, I'm single, but I'm spending 4 nights. If you were going to get upset about somebody that you are pushing that kind of intimacy on, not seeing it that way, nope, you're all thinking adults. You are all thinking adults. You've put yourself in this stupid situation, and if your feelings could get hurt, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
And also my question is because she's am I the asshole for not telling? Who is she not telling? Because neither Molly or Rachel have claim to Dylan. So who would be the one that would be how dare you? Because neither one of them.
Molly has no right to be mad at Rachel.
But does Rachel have a right to be mad at Molly?
She doesn't have any right to be mad at Dylan.
No.
So none of them have any right to any claim to each other.
No, that's true. But I do think if you're at this level of 4 nights a week, that's heavy. That's heavy.
We think that Molly's probably in deeper with Dylan than Rachel is. Of course.
And look, I think this is not to gender it up, but a fairly common dynamic where a woman wants a relationship and a guy does not, and he is stringing her on to an extent. Now, I question Molly's, general scruples in hooking up with Dylan. She was obviously playing with fire from the get-go. Mm-hmm. But I do feel that these are probably young folks. But I think as adults, if anybody did this, if any one of my friends did this, I'm just having sex with her and she wants more.
You're putting that on Dylan. You're putting that on Dylan. I think
he's at her house 4 nights a week, my man.
She's at his house, and look at how she's talking. I love being single and the lack of commitment. I don't want any commitment. I love being single. She's stressing that is something that she enjoys right now, and then is choosing to spend 4 nights a week at Dylan's apartment. She is telling
that does kind of change it. The fact that she's going to his house, that actually she's throwing herself at him.
And she's broadcasting, I'm single.
Her.
It doesn't matter. It's clearly consensual. They're clearly having a good time. She is telling everybody how much she likes this lack of commitment. So if she has a problem with Dylan hooking up with anybody, this is a dumb game that you're all playing. I think that these are all very young people.
Yeah.
And man, OP, this is straight up perfect mind your business country. I think you are so in the right. Just staying the fuck out of this rat king of a clusterfuck of emotions where I don't think anyone in this situation has a right to be upset, but every single one of them will throw an absolute shit fit when they find out what's going on, which is nothing. Nothing's going on. You're all single and fucking. Who cares?
I think we're all lined up on OP not doing anything wrong. I think the reality is, though, to go into the social side of this, is that should Molly find out, chaos as she is, I think she will feel betrayed.
Yeah, but do you think Rachel will feel that way too, or do we think Rachel knows? Well, I don't think either one of them know.
I'm getting the energy that Rachel is not hooking up with Dylan at a very high frequency, so I don't know that her emotional intensity is that high. But I do think Molly will feel betrayed by this. Will be very shocked that you did not disclose this information. So that's a risk. That's a risk.
And to be honest with you, I think that Molly is way fine. You can feel that way. You can feel that way, but I don't think it's a super reasonable take to if you make your friend who I can't believe you didn't tell me the victim in this. It's because you're embarrassed that you went way too hard on your side piece, that you kept just far enough away where you weren't cheating, but you were ready to go to town on him as soon as you were out of that relationship.
Well, I think Molly's up to no good. I mean, I think this is
I'm willing to just let that stand. I'm willing to just be like, okay, cool, let's factor that out. But what I'm saying is
Molly's obviously unhinged, right? She's throwing herself at Dylan, who is her ex's best friend. Like she's herself is like, and she needs this
Dylan,
to work.
I don't know about you, homie. Like, this is your best friend's ex of 5 years. You are not a good friend.
I'm ready to throw ESH just so that
this is an ESH outside of OP.
I think it's NTA, and all of them are.
Or that's the other way of
I don't think there's anything wrong with minding your business. I do think you're potentially you're among a bunch of landmines, because this is going to blow up.
And that's why I'm saying just remove yourself from it. Just stay as far away from it as you can.
I hate to admit it. I think that might be the best course.
She is not going to help anything by throwing a firecracker into the field of landmines. Keep your distance. They're all dumb. This is a plot line from Three's Company. They're going to all find out in a very sitcom-y way, and it's going to be a big fucking feelings mess that none of them really need to be having.
And you can just be like Homer Simpson, slowly going into the bushes.
Well, no, OP, you're going to catch a stray. There's no doubt. Molly's going to throw a javelin at you. There's no doubt in my mind. But
Molly throw a javelin at a cop. She doesn't care.
She doesn't care right now. AITA for minding my business. I think we're saying NTA and all your
and the
crazy
rest of them are
friends.
your horny friends need to all take a cold shower.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, Dylan's texting me right now. What's up, dog?
Are we cruising for babes tonight, Dad?
Never mind, Dylan. I'm out. AITA for telling my husband what I think he should do with a car he inherited from a family member who passed. My husband and I are in our late 40s and got married a little before COVID. This is both of our second marriages and, surprise, surprise, not having children due to our age. We each have 2 kids from our previous. My husband has a daughter who is away at college and a 16-year-old son who lives with his mom, mostly, but sometimes with us. Our house is my husband and I and my 2 kids, who are 14 and 12. My husband had a great uncle who recently passed. He inherited his gently used SUV. I don't know a ton about cars. I know the car is 2017, and I've seen used ones with low mileage go for around 20 grand. Here's the issue. Remember how I said my husband's son is 16? My husband thinks the car would be a great gift to him. He plans on giving him the car regardless of how I feel. I think the fair thing to do would be to sell the car for as much as we can and divide that money up equally between the 4 kids. That way everyone can benefit and not just my stepson, who happens to be 16. My husband has been mean to me about this. He is telling me I have zero say. It was his uncle and the car was given to him, not the family. He said his son has an after-school job and he needs the car to be less of a stress on him. I and his ex. We all sometimes have to chauffeur him to and from work since he has no car. He is 16. If he gets $4 to $5 grand from the sale of the GMC, that is more than enough money for him to buy a starter car that can take him around town and to work. My husband agrees that he technically can do that, but he's not going to because he wants his son to have the car. I'm stressed because he is basically telling me that he's going to do what he wants and I don't get a say. Aren't a husband and wife supposed to come to agreements together? He told me if I have a relative die, we will do whatever I want with the inheritance and he will not interfere. I have major issues with this. He even went as far to say that we can sell the car and split the money up amongst the kids, but now he will go and buy an equal value car for his son out of our joint bank account. I thought it was a jerk thing to say, but am I the asshole all along? Juice fast.
Yeah.
There's a lot
easy.
here.
Not easy.
What I was thinking is like, I think it does make sense that the son can use the car now and then, you know, he'll probably be off to college in like, say 2 years, and then the 14-year-old will be 16 and now she or he can use the car and then they'll be gone to college in 2 more years and then the 12-year-old will be 16 at that point and now they can use the car. So can it just be like a family car? Like that's what we kind of did was like, I guess we both like maybe they like ended up selling it, but either way it was always like my parents owned the cars, but they would like let us use the one car, and then after we went away to college it was like they would sell it. So it was like never my car that they like gave to me to go and bring to me with college. It was just the third car that we had that was then the car that the teenager could use.
I agree that that is an ideal solution, but I think what we're skipping over there is this is about somebody who lost an uncle. We don't know how close they were. That's conveniently left out, which it's not there. So it was something given to him and he wants to share that with his direct son, and that's where it gets complicated because it's like, well, these are all your children, you married into it, you can't play favorites here. But if he specifically wants to give the car to his son. Now, I'm going to say right here, no fucking 16-year-old needs to be driving a Chevy SUV. That is the last vehicle a 16-year-old needs to be driving. But
is that a nice car?
No, it's just like a fucking death machine.
It's a big car.
SUVs can, like, the kill rate on those, if you hit somebody at a crosswalk or whatever, the damage it does to other cars, they're fucking wreckers.
If you hit someone with a Camry Hybrid 2021, they become stronger.
You actually, you fix their any ailments they have. It's a fact. So I sympathize that he wants to give this to his son. I think that there's a lot of better situations, but I think that the way that OP went about this, it's very like mine.
Well, I have a hot take for you, Jake.
Okay.
Isn't it interesting that this is a ridiculous gift? I think we all are aligned on that. It's a lot. Under the context of what Shannon is saying, where the car is passed down, not so ridiculous. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying, I'm giving it to my son. But interestingly, the son, who is 16, does not live with him. Mom has primary custody, so he's trying to be like, my son, my real son.
I can't take it as gospel, but it's a really interesting read. I think that holds a lot of water.
There. Penguin Squeak and a lot of Redditors are with us. YTA, you and your children are not entitled to any part of your husband's inheritance.
Yeah.
What he does with the car he inherited is his business. Massive no. Fuck you. If you're married to someone and you receive a windfall, which is to say unexpected money, which this is, that is family money. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No,
Why did you marry someone if you're not going to...
Because just because you're married doesn't make you into a homunculoid fusion of two people at all times. You still are individuals. You still have a right to be an individual person within your marriage. If you were directly given something from a dead relative, if Jackie got, it doesn't matter how much money it is, it doesn't matter what it is. If she had a Princess Diaries situation come up and inherits like royal
Yeah. No, this is a great example because you and Jackie don't have kids. Go on.
They're not married too.
She can do whatever she wants with that.
I think in a marriage with two people, I understand that, and that's fair. I'm with you there,
But
Jake.
everyone can make their own marriage or relationship whatever they want it to be. Like just because you're married doesn't mean that you have to.
Once you have kids, I think the game is a little different.
You don't have to. That's your opinion. You don't have to have a marriage that way.
I think you need to treat your kids well.
I think I don't. But this isn't
raise the kids.
This isn't treating his kids unwell or like. It's a stretch for me to call this unfair simply because it's just like this is something he wants to do with something he was given, and I don't know. Also, like, I mean, it's such a shitty first car. That's the thing that's kind of holding me back on this is like, you're gonna give him a whole ass SUV? Do you know how much money he's paying on gas? It does make sense to me. I like the idea. It's ideal. Sell the car and then figure out some kind of split of the funds.
No, I think keep it the family car.
I'm not interested in getting to the mechanics of that. My issue is that if you're going to receive a windfall and you have children with someone and you live with those children, which he does, you don't get to just say, I'm doing what I want. I think that is inherently asshole-ish. This needs to be a conversation.
Also, what if the car, like, I mean, I guess he would have said that if it, like, meant something to the family.
Well, that's the thing, too, is that we're not getting any kind of information about what the relationship with his great uncle was.
Maybe this was, like, a car that really did mean something, and he's like, I don't want to just sell it and have him. This is something I was, because it's kind of, say it was jewelry, okay? Let's switch it. And,
sure.
And it was a great aunt who gave her niece jewelry, a ring, and then the wife wanted to then give it to her daughter.
I would say the same thing. I would say I don't know that that's a responsible choice, and I think a conversation needs to happen. Now, as we have discussed, though,
no, because there's no
here's an
way.
exception.
There's no way that anyone would ever be like in that scenario, like, whoa, that ring is worth 20 grand. Let's sell that ring and split the money between the kids.
It sounds like money is pretty real in this family, though.
Why do the kids need $5 grand? Why does a 12-year-old need $5 grand?
I don't see that.
Well, for their future.
I don't see that here. It actually, this seems bereft of any information telling me that money's real in this family.
Really? What about the fact that they all chauffeur him and they don't have any kind of car for him? Why doesn't he have a beater?
He just turned 16.
In some states, in New Jersey, you couldn't even drive alone at 16.
And actually, Shannon, that's where I'm going to push back on you about this being a good option for a family car. I think your family had a really cool situation set up there, but we're talking about now a car that would be 6 years old that's still appreciated at $20K. That is an absurd loss of, like, if money is real in this family, we're talking about depreciating something that you could get $20K right now, which is serious money, and then putting it in the hands of the most dangerous people on the road, 16-year-olds. You're going to get dents, you're going to get bumps, you are going to beat that car to shit, and you're going to put a bunch of miles on it because these kids don't know how to drive and they're driving a fucking boat. I think that you are way better served if we're talking about a split and doing a family car thing, and the dad wants to love bomb his son or whatever.
Yeah.
Get him a reasonable sedan and then get a family car like what Shannon is suggesting for the other two kids.
I'm trying to land some dings here, guys. I'm landing a ding on the husband for according to OP, telling me I have zero say. Even in your ring situation, zero say?
I agree.
Are you with that, Shannon?
Yes.
I can meet you
Zero
there.
say.
In a ring?
I don't give a fuck what it is. It could be a ring. It could be a rare bird.
I'm not
We
saying
are having a conversation about what we are doing with this essentially
I'm with you on
very
messaging.
Valuable thing.
I'm with you on messaging
I
here.
mean, maybe not zero say because, yeah, you have kids. So, like, I think he is being pretty harsh in his, like, and she said he's being mean about it.
You should never, ever, ever use zero say in a conversation with your partner. That is just an attitude, a mentality. They always have a say because they're your partner. The choice does ultimately come down to him. I'm with him on that. The choice is ultimately his.
There's no question that he has a right.
This is like a 51% shared stake in this car to me of like, you're married. It's like, this is yours. This is yours. You are still an individual.
Yeah.
But you do need to give your partner the credit that they deserve.
And I think they should have some sort of compromise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think my issue is
little.
maybe we can ding OP. She does seem a little bit rigid on how this is going to play out.
And that's
as
where
well.
I'm getting a grubby
they're
grabber.
both
I'm
being
getting a grubby
rigid.
grabber from OP here of just like, oh yes, then we can sell the car and split it amongst all the children. And it's just like you're going really
she
fast.
could also be having feelings of like feeling like her kids aren't as important to him, and like there's probably some underlying like
and
feelings
he's sending
of
that messaging with how he's handling it for sure.
Yeah.
My thing here is just that it's like, yeah, this is kind of like, because you are merged families. Like when my stepsister and I were younger, we never lived in the same house, but we were like very close in age. If one of my stepdad's relatives and her relatives passed and gave them like a crazy windfall, I would just be like, oh, good for you guys.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be sitting there like, yes, we're a family now. Give me.
Yeah, I bet the 14 and 12-year-old aren't
They
doing
don't care.
it. Yeah.
They're playing Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that them caring is necessarily what's at
No,
stake
because they're
here.
kids
Like,
and they don't know
Well,
what's
I guess
going
the
on.
thing is,
Exactly.
would your mom have been like,
No, absolutely
Jake?
not.
My thing
Need
is, like
some.
I said, if we're getting this kid a car, then these two kids, and the Shannon solution fits this, will also need a car, and they also should be given access to a car. I feel like the mom's point of view does permit that, but I really do feel like this guy is being super rigid. I did just check it here on ChatGPT. It does look like inheritance generally in a marriage, that's yours.
Yeah.
That's yours. That's his property.
Yeah.
That said, I don't like how that plays.
I don't like
when you
how he's
go
going
to-
about it at all.
He's not going about this in a fair way. I think it has to be a conversation. It has to be explored. It has to be discussed. And I do think that we're landing a lot of blows here on that. This is not a very practical decision. This seems quite impractical and honestly stupid.
This is Dum-Dumville for sure. You're giving us something that could be classified as a tool of war in some situations to a 16-year-old to get to and from his job. So you know what? I'm going King Solomon on this King David on this bad boy. I'm saying cut that baby in half, give each side of the car to either set of kids, let them figure it out. Meaning, I think you turn this behemoth of a car that nobody needs as a starter into two sensible sedans, and maybe, just like handle it that way. That's the best solution I have here. I think OP is also going about this in a really greedy way.
Well, hold on to your seats.
Uh-oh.
Comprehensive Law 740 writes, NTA, is everyone purposefully ignoring the fact that husband has a biological daughter who is also getting nothing?
Yeah, I mean, I
Now,
wasn't ignoring that.
My
but
husband has a daughter who is away at college. So, this does seem like a pretty egregious violation of my fairness toward children rules. How will the husband be fairly compensating the daughter for this windfall? That seems patently unfair and
Well,
does
what if
support my initial theory that this is a love bomb.
Is it possible, and this is just information we don't have, if he has already bought that daughter a car, which is just being left out, this could be very fair, and this could be him
There
being
is
like,
a world where that's fair.
It seems reasonable. I think that this family actually has money. That's my read from this. I don't see
tough to know.
No, it's not, because anytime we get situations and money is an issue, it is always mentioned. I have never seen it not get mentioned when it is.
I mean, there's a lot of discussion of money
know.
here. We're talking 20 grand is.
Because 20 grand is still 20 grand. Doesn't matter what kind of money you're
But
pulling
if you
in.
have serious money, 20 grand is not that much money, Like
I
I
feel
think
like-
the fact that OP's dividing it out shows that this is not, this is not a high income household. I think I'm willing to go there.
I feel like what the husband is doing is that, he knew he probably was going to have to buy his kid a car because he's getting his license soon. A car is in his hands. He doesn't feel like going to the dealer and getting it sold, and he just needs it for the son to not have to be chauffeured around by him and his ex. So I just feel like it's more just like, it's just convenient. I don't feel like doing all this other shit. Like, can we just let it be?
That reads well.
No, that's fair, but I think marriage is about working together and coming to
Absolutely.
agreements
Yeah, and
together.
once she has a problem with it, like, I do think you need to be like, okay, let's figure this out.
Figure out
In
something
husband's
that works.
defense,
Where it's like, let's just keep it as a family car, honey.
in husband's
such a bad
defense,
family car.
he does seem to suggest that this is a standard he will be consistent with, saying that if he has a relative who dies, she has a relative who dies, then she can do whatever she wants with the money. I don't know. I'm kind of backing off now because I'm like, that's pretty reasonable. She did characterize him as mean, but then didn't actually cite any example. We all agree that he's rigid at zero say.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, this marriage doesn't sound fun and doesn't sound like they listen to each other. It sounds like they're constantly in competition with one another. It sounds like they're pitting their children against one another without maybe realizing it, but it is what they're doing. And this just seems like a battle for them to win against one another. And that's why they're both approaching at zero sum. I gotta say, I think I got my verdict.
Oh, let's hear it. What is it?
ESH.
Oh, okay.
I don't hate ESH. Babcock27 writes, she wants half the money to go to her kids who are not related to OP. If they sold the car, they should only split the money between the two kids that are related. She's being greedy and trying to snag $10K for her kids that they do not deserve.
Well, all right. Who hurt you?
That went on a bridge too far.
Guys.
And cut out 10K from the related kids. Why does she feel entitled to the money at all? Because they're fucking married, dog.
Yeah, they're a family now, and you shouldn't treat kids differently. So I do understand her point of view.
I think that you guys are, I think Jake's actually really on about this. The fact that this family basically was handed 20 grand and it's a big problem shows that this marriage, something is not right here. I am reading this as a little bit of money tightness, but I think we all agree that this marriage sucks. And for those reasons, I'm lined up. AITA for telling my husband what I think he should do with a car inherited from a family member who passed. We agree?
ESH.
ESH.
Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 150 bonus episodes. You could talk to Jake on Discord. You could talk to Shannon on Discord. People even talk about fucking Dungeons and Dragons on there. If that's your thing, I should start a snowboarding channel. I'm gonna start
man.
Oh, I should start a farting channel.
Okay, I won't do it, Shannon.
You already got so much feet on there. Please stop.
I'll make you a deal, Shannon. I won't talk about it. I won't make my snow channel if you don't make your fart channel.
Okay, deal.
I actually have been thinking about doing an F1 channel on there, F1 racing. We got a couple race heads in there.
Too many channels. AITA for charging my daughter rent. My daughter is 16 and recently got a job as a cashier 2 months ago. She's obviously still in high school, so she only works a couple of days a week. Yesterday, my husband and I talked to her about contributing to the household with part of her check. Both of us had to pay around her age as kids, and we gave her a couple months to settle into the job before bringing it up, so we thought it would be okay. I called the charge rent in my title because I didn't know what else to say, but that's not really what it is. I'm not going to kick my daughter out of the house if she stops paying. I just genuinely need help. My family isn't in a good financial situation, and getting some extra cash from her really helps me be able to afford my own rent and food for the kids. I have another child beside her who isn't working yet. I do actually need the help. The charge is only $40 a check or $80 a month, which basically equals out to her paying for her own music subscription and the gas I use driving her to and from work, maybe slightly more. Each check for her is around $200. She told me I was being unfair because she's a minor and needs to be able to save her money, but I'm still leaving her the majority of her check to save or do whatever she wants with, and all I'm really doing is making up for the extra gas money I have to spend now that I drive her to work. I didn't call this rent to her face. I told my daughter I need help affording the gas I use when I drive her to and from work, and she knows part of what I'm taking out is going directly to her music. I titled my post as rent, but never framed it that way to her. AITA.
I mean, I guess this is sort of more just being like, I want you to pay for some of your own stuff, like a music subscription. I'm guessing she's talking about like Spotify or Apple Music.
Yeah, something like that. This isn't as
that's $15 a month.
Yeah.
I think I actually am ready to ding on that note. It seems like OP is using a little bit of shady accounting in his favor. I think it's fair to charge her for the gas, but I think he's biting off a little bit more than he can chew here.
This is a mom.
Mom is biting off more than she can chew because she's even kind of saying maybe slightly more. Why is it maybe slightly more? Why don't you teach your daughter how to properly account?
Well, yeah,
Ooh, a rare stuck moment from the crew. Money is real here. At least we agree on
money
that.
is real for sure. And I guess when we first read this, to me, it seemed more egregious. I definitely missed that the money was coming from the outside. I thought that this was like, this isn't coming from work, right?
No, it is.
Oh, it is coming from work.
She's earning.
So
okay, I'm against
$40
that.
a check or $80 a month, meaning so each check is $200 to $220, meaning that she's making about at the most $440 a month, and she's taking $80 of that.
So she's basically, this is a 20% tax.
Yeah,
that's kind of a lot.
That is a lot.
It's not a little.
The gas makes sense. You're right. The music subscription thing doesn't hold water for me because she's using it too. There's no way
Not
she's
necessarily.
not.
I don't. Can you share a Spotify
Yeah, you can.
account?
Let's not
you
get
can?
in. Yeah, you can. There's
I didn't
Spotify
know you
Duo.
can on
Actually,
Don't do it.
we should do it.
Fine.
No, don't do
You
it.
might be able to do AITA.
Don't tell them Spotify will hear.
Well,
Then we'll be on time out on
it's a feature.
Spotify.
It's a feature you pay for.
Yeah, I mean the music subscription though, like I do kind of think that is like an extra kind of
As long as multiple people aren't using it, I'll go with you on that.
Yeah,
but
if
if
it's just
anyone
one
else is
thing.
on that account, like.
Because like I remember I started working at 14, and I would say after I started working, like I'm almost positive like I would always buy my own clothes and like lotions and like body sprays and like going to the movies and like doing like fun things and clothes. I always was buying my own stuff after that. And so I don't know. I mean, I kind of understand the music subscription because I think, I mean, going back then, like, you know, I guess I had an iPod, and so I was probably, I mean, I was downloading illegally, but like, I'm sure I would have had to pay for my own CDs if that was a thing then. And
Yeah.
so I kind of see that. And yeah, I mean, depending on how far this is for the gas.
It's definitely something my parents would have charged me for. Like there were things that I was, you know, there was a lot of work to do around our houses just because of how many animals we had. And there was a lot of time consuming stuff that had to be done. So it was like, you know, getting paid what you would pay neighborhood kids to do stuff like that. And I do it for neighbors too. But anything like video games, anything like, you know, entertainment, anything that I was doing on my own, I was usually paying for out of that.
Yeah.
But also just like, you know, was definitely not, I think I didn't have a part-time job, like a legit one, until I was like 16. Didn't do it for long because it was a shady spot, but
I think this is really tough. I'm ready also to zoom out because I'm like, what kind of society do we live in? We live in a society where I believe it was Iowa that recently passed laws that let 14-year-olds work in factories, something horrible.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And there is a dogma in this country that hard work is good. And
it makes you valid. It's a personality trait. It's so good to be a slave to a corporate organization.
And it's, you know, it's this idea that, you know, the economy is fair, that it's rational, when it's like, you know, the people at the bottom are basically getting scraps at this point. I guess one idea I'm having, look, I'm going to be honest. I come from a place of privilege. My parents certainly never charged me for anything. One time I broke a woman's car and I had to spend $1,000 on that.
Brutal.
I shifted a minivan into reverse while driving. So not my brightest work, but we live and we learn. It was a Nissan piece of shit. That's why I drive Toyota, baby. Anyway,
Same.
hell yeah. So I guess I think what I don't like here, but I can play the other side as well, is like I don't like that she's labeling this as rent. I don't like the kind of numerical magic. I feel like it would be a lot more fair and kind to just be like, listen, we're not in a good financial situation right now. I'm trying my best. This just is what it is. I can't afford to be paying for your gas and music subscription. And I would really appreciate if you just covered those costs now that you have a job.
Right.
That to me feels clean.
Making it a decision, making it a group, making them part of the conversation, where you're kind of just being a totalitarian overlord of like, you're being King George. You're telling us how to tax our tea.
Yeah. Yeah. She's using her authority in an unfair way. And I think the daughter should have an option. She should have an option to pursue other ways. Maybe she can take the bus or get a friend or do whatever the fuck she wants.
True, yeah.
So I don't like the framing here, but part of me is like, you know, this can be tough in a household to kind of cede your authority and be like, yeah, I'm not doing well. So this is tough. This is a toughie.
For sure.
Crystal Queen 3000 YTA. You have full financial responsibility of her until she's an adult. That's what you signed up for when you became a parent. I think this is very naive. I think that we are human beings need to reproduce. I think many of us do, not all of us. It's not a requirement, but in other words, it's not a luxury. This is another idea that you will be told. Ridiculous. It's not a luxury. It's a mandate, damn it. That's how we go on. And, you know, wealth inequality is getting so bad that people are starting to have these. I mean, nobody's having kids for this very reason. We're not comfortable, you know, as millennials. I'm sure Gen Z is faring probably worse than us by now. So I don't, even though I am big on duty to the kids, I'm like, I think this mom is trying her best. I think she could have approached this in a better way. I think this is a hard thing though, and I'm ready to give some grace.
Me too.
Yeah, no, this isn't anywhere near the kind of stuff that we've covered on this in terms of selfishness. It's just a tricky situation that's going to be hard to resolve ethically.
It's hard. There's not enough money in the house and you got to do something, and they're doing something.
And also the saying like, oh, you know, it's your daughter, you have the responsibility, is like sometimes, like life hits you hard, and now your financial situation is different than what it was when you were younger. And
we're in a situation where I don't know the stat by heart, but more or less, if you work a minimum wage job or two, you can't afford a 2-bedroom apartment, you know, and in most cities in the United States, which is where the jobs are. So it's like a lot of people are hard up. I don't blame them for that. I don't blame OP for this. I'm giving some grace. I don't think this person probably has a ton of emotional bandwidth also to be like, how should I frame this to my daughter? They're probably in a state of low grade stress 24 hours a day. AITA for charging my daughter rent. I think we're giving a no assholes here, and let's get some universal basic income or some shit. Figure it out.
Oh, that wouldn't that be
no assholes here.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 150 bonus epis and a whole lot of fun. We're going to wrap things up here on a lighter note. Here is Jacques David.
AITA for not carrying my wife's purse. I, 32-year-old male, work fully remote, and my wife, 30-year-old female, works 2 to 3 days in the office. On days where she commutes in the morning, I wake up early with her, make us French press coffee while she gets ready, and I walk her to the ferry, which is approximately a 5-minute walk, and then approximately a 5-10-minute wait for the ferry onboarding. On our walks, she insists that I carry her purse, saying that her bag is heavy, that she has to carry it all day, and that if I carry it on the walk, it would mean a lot to her. I told her that she's putting me in an awkward situation where I either need to A, carry her purse, which I would prefer not to do, or B, have an argument first thing in the morning because I refuse to carry her purse. Maybe I am just stubborn, but to me, carrying my wife's purse and then standing in line with all of the commuters waiting to board the ferry as I hold my wife's purse for her commute into work is a bit emasculating and humiliating. She, on the other hand, thinks it would be a nice gesture. And the fact that I find it embarrassing for me is irritating because I should A, care more about what she thinks than what other people think, and B, be comfortable enough in my own skin not to feel emasculated or humiliated. So what do you think? Am I the asshole for telling my wife I don't want to carry her purse?
Well, you read the shit out of that.
That's how I think this guy talks.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing here, man?
This is
toxic masculinity, honey.
Who hurt you? What happened, man?
Right.
This is so sad. You're so easily destroyed. First of all, let me lay it down for you, man. It's a fucking privilege to carry her purse. She chose you. She picked you. She loves you. You are the man who gets to carry her flag into the arena for her.
You hear that, Danny?
No, I'm with this. I always carried my my long-term relationships.
Really, I don't think I've ever had Max carry my purse.
I feel
I'm more than happy to do
chosen
but like,
and
in
loved.
what scenarios do we
changing rooms
in New York? You know, you
if you're shopping
heavy or like
if
what?
it's heavy, whatever. She doesn't want to carry it.
If you're shopping, changing rooms, I've held it for Jackie in that situation of just like one less thing to worry about in there. It's really it doesn't come up that much, but it is something that like I feel intimacy and I feel close with Jackie when she asks me to do that.
Yeah,
because
I feel useful. I'm like I'm stronger if that's relevant.
I know it's an antiquated
whatever,
it's an antiquated comparison, but I think it might be akin to like somebody giving their partner their Letterman's jacket if they're high school sweethearts.
100%. I will not let a woman be cold if I'm cold. Of course not. That's ridiculous.
And you are doing them a favor. It is. I love how he's like, my wife says it would be a nice gesture. Like, yeah, it would be. And you're so
honestly,
versed.
I don't even know if it crosses into that. I'm
Right?
like, this is kind of just like a common courtesy for your goddamn wife,
It's
bro.
just a thing you do.
Exactly. It's kind of a thankless job because like that's your wife. You're hauling goods together. Help her haul her goods.
I
also-
would. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, no one's gonna think that. I doubt anyone's gonna think it's your purse. And also, even if they do, who
course
cares? Like
not.
men can dress feminine if they want to.
No, this is actually the funniest thing about all this to me is
He's slapping his knee over here.
I want to meet the person at the ferry who's like, check out Purse Man.
Oh, I know.
Look at Purse Man, everybody.
never
He's never gonna
happens.
see these
It's
people
never
again
happens.
anyway. Like
I do. I'm gonna see them at the ferry the next day. I see Janice and Carl and even Jabber. I see them all every day.
Jabber. I have never in my life ever been embarrassed in front of people I don't know. I don't give a fuck what
that
those
checks
people
out
think.
Yeah,
actually
no,
with your
that's-
history of.
Straight up.
We actually love that. That might be your best asset
Oh,
on the pod.
it's a huge
Because you
net
keep
gain for us.
dropping things.
Shannon loves farting.
I think this is made of insecurity, toxic masculinity, all these things. I'm also just a little bit sad too. I was telling, here's a little Dora update for you guys.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, it was a fine one.
Daddy, hold my purse and has my kidney in it.
I've done this for them before because, Dora lives with like a 70-year-old man. So they're both older people.
Oh, I
did
didn't
not know that.
Oh, yeah, you guys.
She has a roommate?
Rodolfo, yeah, and he only speaks Spanish.
Okay, this is new.
That was the whole reason that I kind of got involved with the Dora situation because I was like, English-speaking old woman with a totally Spanish-speaking younger guy. Like, I was like, I don't know what that's.
Oh, wait, how old is he?
70, 65, and she's
and that's younger.
85.
And they're just
Yeah, she's-
roommates.
Well, so what happened? God, you guys don't know any of this. So what happened is Rodolfo had a wife, and I don't know how they adopted Dora, and then his wife tragically passed. Initially, the story that was communicated to me was like she died of like a medical ailment, but then Dora said some story later where she like threw herself. You can't trust Dora, but she threw herself down the stairs at one point. The story Dora told.
That does sound Dora
Anyway.
up.
Why did they adopt her?
I think she was a desperate woman.
I know where they buried the bodies.
Well, there's literally a whole thing about how she lost her house, and it's kind of it feels very LA
This is
delusion. Like
weird.
I had it all and it was all taken. Sure, whatever. Anyway, Rodolfo's a good guy, and they're look. I'm not mad.
I feel
and where I was going with this is go ahead.
I was just gonna say you just gave like my favorite comedy side character that we have in the pod lore. You just revealed their tragic backstory.
Yeah.
I like you really. That's the episode where it's like, oh wow, they're not so funny now. They have depth.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we don't want to know that about her. We don't want to give her like a three-dimensional character.
Okay.
Because then it's harder to laugh at
Hey,
her.
can we take Dora to Chili's and just see what happens? All of
We
us.
can't take her out unless you physically carry her because she falls and then she'll blame you.
Oh, no.
You want to go back to the comedic side? You'll get blamed. I do not walk with her. I don't escort her. The answer
But
is no.
you would hold Dora's purse.
Well, what I did, and this is what I was going to say, and look, I'm happy to do this. It feels good to do this as an able-bodied man. They had all these groceries, and I was like, please, let me help you. Of course, you're a 70-year-old, and she's 80,000, So I helped them bring in their groceries, and then Dora tried to give me money, and I'm like, no, I enjoy helping you. And I feel like sometimes people are so emotionally blocked. Like, it feels good.
Oh, I love helping people.
To help your fellow
It's
man,
just
for
nice.
God's sake, especially in a situation where, like, come on, like, I could probably arm wrestle Dora with my finger. You know what I mean? Like, they're weak, they're old. I'm happy to help them.
And you're so strong.
Oh, thank you, Shannon.
Strong boy Danny. That's
Thank
what we
you.
always call him.
I'm pretty sure Jake has worked out for like a week and is stronger than me. But listen, he's also 4 times my weight. So, yeah, I think this is a genuinely kind of a sad thing about toxic masculinity.
Oh,
where
this
it's
is
like
tragic.
You probably would feel pretty good. I feel good. We all feel good being useful.
You're carrying an albatross around your neck that is No, let me go.
Oh, and the emasculating part pisses me off.
Well, that's where I am feeling like this is a very easy person to ridicule, especially like how step by step he wrote all of this out. We will arrive at the ferry. We do wait approximately 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, emasculating.
But I think there is a lot of pain, a lot of expectation. This guy might just be a dick with no explanation. Who knows? But I'm willing to read that there was some masculine role model in this dude's life who made him very, very self-conscious about how he is presenting himself as a masculine person, and he's living with this fear. And I'm willing to not get too sympathetic here but I'm not seeing anything here where he's an asshole outside of not doing a bare minimum nice thing for his wife in this situation. It is telling that maybe he has other behaviors that are a lot more concerning. But I feel really sorry for whatever happened to create somebody that's this afraid.
I love that you went there, because I think it's an important thing to realize that even though someone might be an asshole or a narcissist or whatever horrible term you want to throw, like, everyone has a story, and almost everyone's story is riddled with tragedy and horror that probably had a undue impact on who they are. Now, we are all responsible for our behavior.
Absolutely.
But I like that you gave him a little humanity.
He's still a doofus.
Utterly.
This is still like
utterly
big Chungus territory.
Absolute chonky chungus.
Chonky chungus.
Shannon, last word. Last word.
I just hate the whole word emasculating. I don't even think it should be a word.
Just get rid of it. What do we replace it with?
I think it's just bullshit.
Give me a top three. Give me a top three. What do we replace emasculating with?
Chonker.
I feel like that.
I think emasculating is a real thing. I have an example here. I was very relieved. I don't know if I told you this. We were in the hot tub after skiing one day, and Shannon hates me so much for bringing up anything. But my crazy cousin, my crazy child-free cousin, we've done stuff where we get in ice baths and stuff. So he was like, "Let's jump in the snow," and so we would jump in the snow and then go back in the hot tub. And a kid and his father joined us in the hot tub. And so the kid then did it with us. We like kind of pressured him into doing it.
Nice.
And initially the dad refused. And I felt that this would have been very emasculating and not a good look for dad. But he did it. He ended up doing it. And I was very relieved when he did. I was like, that would be a big miss. You need to match your child here on being daring and getting in the snow.
But how is that emasculating?
Because it shows that
But here's the tricky thing with emasculating. It's all perception. It's all on the people around you. You're perceiving it as emasculating. What it could have been was also a moment of him showing his son, like, hey, you don't
have to do
or
things.
If like, just because like, hey, sometimes your friends are going to want to do stuff and you're not going to feel like doing it. It's okay for you to hang back and not do it.
I disagree with that. I think it would have been a massive miss for him as a father.
As a father, yes. As a man, I think that there's
as a father,
you're bonding. You're missing an opportunity to create a great memory with your son.
Your male role or identity. You're not depriving yourself of your male role.
Well, but I think part of the male role, at least stereotypically, is to be daring and have some fun. And it was a moment.
But that's just what like the society tells us.
I think true masculinity. I think the difference is knowing when to not do something and when to do something and being really resolute in that.
But there was no reason not to do it.
But there was also like the only reason, the best reason in the world to not do something. You don't want to. No. Like that's a great reason to not do something. But I agree with you that he would have been missing out on a bonding experience with his son, and it's good that he made that choice.
But I don't think it has anything to do with being
parents
a man.
I don't know. You're way off.
I'm not on masculinity so much as I am camaraderie, and
but that's different.
Okay.
I don't think that the dad hanging back has any bearing. Honestly, like. You know what the big chief alpha lion does 9 times out of 10? Alpha's not a real thing. I shouldn't have said that. What the big lion does? Sits on his butt all day. He doesn't go out and hunt. No. And I'm not. It's dude. No, like it is.
It would have been a huge miss if he didn't do it.
Not as a man, as a dad, but not as a man.
Making me cringe.
You are coming in from straight up from 1955 with that view of masculinity.
Well, not as a. But what do you mean as a man? He was a father, so that was specifically. If he was a guy in the hot tub with us, a rando. and he refused to do it, I would still say the same thing. I'd be like, you missed out on a huge moment of camaraderie.
Yeah, but that
was
doesn't
it
have anything
emasculating?
to do with being masculine.
Irrelevant.
Because
Yeah.
jumping
No,
in
but
the
you said-
snow isn't like a manly thing to do.
that's where I'm also
a woman
like-
could do
Well,
that too.
I don't know that I agree with that construct. Yeah, so okay, all right. I think we agree here.
Yeah.
It's
So we agree here. Big old YTA to this MFer.
Oh yeah, duh.
Massive. Massive.
Come on, man.
Fuck this
Carry
guy.
the fucking purse.
Carry the purse, you clown.
Yeah, no
you
kidding.
absolute doofus.
AITA for not carrying my wife's purse. We agree wholeheartedly. YTA guys, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for
Thank you
tuning
so
in.
much.
Can we anything else?
We're
Anything
gonna
else,
move past
yeah.
the bye now. It's been a heated competition. I think let's be fair, Shannon. Jake, you are the winner
dominated. I
of the
thought I was
the bye contest. I had my moment. Shannon had hers, but in the end,
Everyone
you,
here
Well, maybe we
shined
could
in
just
their
do
own way.
bye, but without the competition.
Well, we could
I think we should
occasionally
try
do
to
it.
harmonize and try to
yeah,
hit
let's
a chord.
harmonize
Oh, okay,
it.
okay.
All right, so
I'm gonna
Jake,
go low.
you go
I'm gonna go
low.
low.
What should I
I'll
do?
do the middle, and I'll try to create a harmony.
Yeah, you think I can go high?
You can go higher than me.
You think?
All right, let's just do
I
it.
have a
Go,
pretty
Jake.
deep
Low note.
voice.
Here we go.
Beautiful.
We're getting there.
Needs
We'll work on it.
It needs
We'll work on it.
work. I think we're gonna find new co-hosts.